I just saw Better Man. It's actually a 2024 movie internationally, but I'm an American. You can tell by my accent. This is a certified British movie. We gotta love the British, right? Better Man is directed by Michael Gracie, and it stars obviously Robbie Williams, John O. Davies, and Steve Pemberton. Okay, but the British people do come up with some pretty fire movies, and that is actually what Better Man is. It is actually kind of straight fire. I don't know anything about Robbie Williams. I never knew he existed before this movie, but a lot of us out here in the States really don't know who this guy is. I'm gonna just preface this really quickly. This is not a spoiler-free review. If you're insane about spoilers, don't watch this video. Thank you. I freaking love this movie. It's another bioptic. Oh my gosh, great. Hollywood pumped out another bioptic. And by the way, this is like one of the most vulgar musicals I have ever seen in my life. And yes, it's a musical. A lot of the music is incorporated into the plot elements, which is really nice, which is very important for a musical, because sometimes you do watch like other musicals and then they'll just like break out singing and it's like, what is the point of the song? This is definitely not the case. And what's really nice about Better Man is they adapted the entire discography of Robbie Williams into the movie. I mean, obviously not his entire discography, like very well-known songs. Also, the CGI in this movie is outstanding. It makes the monkey, aka Robbie Williams, in this movie so hyper realistic, it almost feels unnatural to think of him as human. And that is one of the greatest things this movie could have done. For how crazy this movie is, it makes complete sense that this dude is a monkey. Also, there's a lot of adult scenes. This movie is way more deeper than it should be, and it really got me emotional. Dude, I got emotional at least 3 different times in the movie. I was about to like start bawling my eyes out. You just feel for Robbie at the start, and it just hurts you to see him hurting. Something that this film does right away. And then when you start seeing him become more of himself and seeing his more abhorrent, disgusting nature, because he is human, you still start to feel bad for him. That's something that this movie does immaculate at. When you know he's being absolutely toxic, you just feel bad for him. You're being gaslit in this movie, and that's phenomenal. I don't know what Michael Gracie put into this movie, but it's obviously a lot of cocaine, because there was a lot of cocaine in this movie. I kid you not. Okay, there was like at least maybe 20 individual scenes of cocaine use. Okay, I shouldn't say the word cocaine because YouTube is going to demonetize this video. Not that I'm monetized. Okay, there's a lot of drug use in this movie. You see his progression in becoming more of a shell of his former self, and a lot of his like musical scenes are a reflection of his addiction. Yeah, a lot of this movie is actually really depressing. When you think a good moment is happening, take a breath. It's not happening. His life is not that good. Yeah, sure, he makes millions of dollars. Yeah, he has millions of fans. Sure, he performed at a concert of 125,000 people, pretty much at the peak of his career. I mean, I wouldn't say he's peaking because he made a movie. One of the nicest touches in the movie was the ending. So we got a lot of motifs of himself. Those motifs were built out through the entire movie. So every monkey version of him translated into the end, translated into his former addictions. Yes, it's a movie about overcoming addiction. So once he finally overcomes his addiction, there is a bloody battle scene of him fighting his former selves, including killing his child self. That is insane. Pure cinema. That's something Martin Scorsese would say. Pure cinema. This movie makes you feel, and it just makes you feel more and more. One of my favorite relationship plots in this movie was him and his grandma. I have never felt so deeply profounded by such minimal conversation, such minimal dialogue, such minimal interaction. And yeah, when his grandma dies, you can't help but just cry, because that's the person that launched his career. insane writing. That's what I have to say. Just insane writing. There's no other way to put it. I have to be honest here. American musical cinema sucks. It sucks so much. And the fact that Britain, by the way, lost 13-0. They lost all the colonies. They're coming out with the absolute peak like this. They can be great at soccer. They can be great at beef Wellingtons. They just can't be great at movies because that's our things as Americans and we're sucking at it. I can't believe this. It makes you wonder, what is American pop doing? What are we doing in American pop? Because I don't know, dude. This guy, his name is Robbie Williams. He got some bangers. They're not all bangers, but he got a couple bangers. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm white. You need to see this movie. You need to see it, and if you're not seeing it, you're doing this a disservice because this is how musical biopics should be done. Okay, the writing of this movie was really weird. It didn't settle in me until the later half. I gotta be honest, like my biggest critique of this movie is it is all over the place. Like you cannot breathe in this movie. It feels like a scary movie without any scariness at all. It's just the type of pacing that it gives. The best way to describe it about this pacing stuff is there's one dialogue scene, they finish the dialogue scene, and then there's another dialogue scene in a different location, and it doesn't relate to the previous dialogue scene at all. But all those dialogue scenes compound into one giant story about his life. And when certain beats hit really hard and very unexpectedly. I mentioned that I got emotional 3 times. So I mentioned that his grandma died. But they decided to revisit it on the 3rd time that I was very emotional. He grew up watching TV. That's really how he kind of identified himself in the music industry. He watched a lot of TV with his grandma. One of the last shots of the movie was him plugging a TV into his car like via cable and eating a bag of crisps because they would eat crisps. I'm so tempted to say chips, but I need to honor the British. Once he hooked up the TV, he brought it to her graveside and ate crisps right by her grave. Cinema doesn't cook this hard this often. As that scene was happening, 2 audience members decided to walk up the stairs when I'm an emotional wreck trying to hold back tears because, you know, we're like almost 3 hours into this movie and I'm so absorbed into everything and I'm just like trying to compose myself. I'm like, I need to look like a man. You really feel like you know the guy by the end of the movie. I kind of said to myself after walking out of the theater, I was like, I know way too much about this guy. Like, I've never known about this celebrity before this movie trailer even dropped. But now I'm like, I feel like I know every single aspect of his life. I just know every aspect of him. Like, this movie goes way into detail about everything. This movie is not afraid to show some really bad sides of him. The movie's all over the place, but yet it all makes sense. It's a slow burn, but yet it is so fast. Things are happening. You cannot breathe, but yet you're breathing. In this review, I haven't even really spoiled this movie. I rate this movie 4 out of 5 stars. It's not 5 stars because it has to be perfect. And this movie is definitely not perfect. But just the end or the start of the movie where it felt like it's all over the place. Like, I shouldn't say like the start because it talks about like him as a kid and what really got him into music, like those core memories. But when he like actually like got into the music scene, got into the boy band, that's where things started like, okay, things are happening. I'm kind of like, I'm in a movie theater right now. I'm not like absorbed into the movie. I'm just trying to like figure out like what is happening. It's linear storytelling in a non-linear format. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next movie review. I'll see you then.